It looks spiny.
It's pointy. You got to be careful.
Am I going to get stuck if I touch it?
No. He's pointy, but...
Oh my goodness, they're moving.
Yes, they're moving. And in between the spines are little tube feet, especially on the bottom. Oh, look at that movement. So he walks with his spines, but he's little tube feet in here, and that's what he uses to grab onto things. But looking carefully, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are actually 10 radial parts to this animal.
Huh.
Actually, the starfish is his cousin.
Are you serious? You can't be serious.
Absolutely. The starfish here is also an echinoderm, but notice he has 5-fold symmetry instead of 10.
Yeah.
This starfish does. On the bottom, look. We see the spines, we see the tube feet. His mouth is in the center there.
Huh. So there is some similarity here, even though externally it looks a lot different.
A lot different. Actually, you want to see something that looks a lot different?
Sure.
Which is a cousin to the starfish and the sea urchin?
All right. It almost looks like a rock.
Yes. I got to be careful. He's squirting on me. This is a sea cucumber.
Oh, big.
He has spines. He has tube feet.
Oh, my goodness.
You would never know it until you studied really hard that this also is an echinoderm. He's not very happy being out of the water, so let me put him back in.
Yeah, so these are all related, even though they look very, very different.
Related in their creation. Not in an evolutionary sense, but our creator took this phylum of life, the echinoderms, and created this and this and this on a similar pattern. And that's what we see across the entire realm of life, similarities and differences.
So what makes them different?
Well, genetically, they share most of their genes in common, but there are developmental genes, they're called Hox genes, that set up these patterns in the animal as it develops. They develop from a single cell. In one of them, they set up a 5-fold symmetry. Another, they set up a 10-fold symmetry. Another one, they make this long, skinny animal. They control the development of the embryo in these amazing ways.
So what you're saying, when we look at this from a molecular or genetic perspective, what we're finding is really a fascinating design in all of that.
Absolutely.
But what we've heard in the conventional paradigm, the conventional story tells us that it's those random changes that has brought about all of this.
Sure. Back in the 1800s, when life was simple, when they didn't know what was happening inside the cell, they didn't know how complex genetics was, you could imagine all sorts of things. But now that we know what actually happens behind the scenes, the story gets a lot more complicated. You see, I like to say the genome is 4-dimensional. Well, we have a 1-dimensional string called DNA. And if you want to draw that out, you'd have to write all the letters of DNA out on all 3 billion of them. And then you have to draw lines or arrows from one part to another part, because this part turns this part off, this part interferes with this part enhances this. It's this huge 2-dimensional interaction network. And that's why you have a 2-dimensional genome.
I mean, let me stop here for a second, because this is really amazing to think about this, because I think, in terms of a computer program, that it's fairly static. I mean, the instructions are there, but you're talking about a program that is reprogramming itself. It's modifying its own instructions.
Oh, wait till I get to the 4th dimension.
Oh, okay.
Because of the 3rd dimension first. The information in that 1st dimension, that linear string, has to be organized in such a way that when it falls into the 3rd dimension, it still works.
Oh, that's amazing.
Genes that are used together are next to each other in 3D space.
Are you saying that once this thing gets folded up, it's almost like we have a new set of instructions?
Yes, a new level of information.
Unbelievable.
That whoever programmed that 1st level needed to understand what was going to happen, have it work in the 3rd level.
But you said there's another dimension even.
Oh yeah, the 4th dimension is time.
And how does that work?
The genome changes shape over time. Maybe you eat something that's bad for you, and your liver says, I can get rid of that toxin. Now, the chromosomes in the liver will change shape, expose that new protein gene, make copies of it, build a brand new protein that can kill off that toxin, and when it's not needed anymore, they'll change shape again and fold back.
Oh my goodness.
Dynamic programming. All 3 levels change in the 4th level, time.
Rob, that's so far beyond anything that we know, even in our most complex software systems, that it's almost beyond imagination to think that someone would look at that and say it all happened by chance.
Yes, and it only brings glory to God.
It does.
You can't build something like that up one thing at a time. You need it to function. In all this interlocking four-dimensional complexity, it's not something you can do one letter at a time with natural selection.
It all has to be there.
Yeah, in the same way when we talked about the environment out here on the coral reef, if you don't have all these interlocking pieces of that puzzle, you don't have that ecology. The system will come crashing down if you just remove a couple of very important